correct. We do run into a whole wide array of different types of foundations. Generally speaking, they're going to be put into three main categories. One could be concrete, one could be stone, and one could be a block foundation. Now, there are other ones that are, kind of in those same mold, but not exactly typical for those. But they're all a little bit different, and there's a lot of regional differences with the different types of foundations as well. So, obviously a stone foundation is going to be something that's much older house. So being in the New England area, stone foundations are actually quite common. So anything built prior to, let's say, around 1900 and earlier is going to be a stone foundation. So when you get somebody coming in and saying, I think it's concrete, and I say, oh, how old's the house? It was built in 1842. And I said, well, unless they've replaced the foundation, it's likely a stone foundation. Obviously, block foundations have a kind of a smaller window of when they were built. They're typically from the early 20s to the 1960s. And in a lot of areas where there's either additions that were put on or cabins that were made, typically around lakes and water, bodies of water. And then the standard of today would be a poured concrete foundation. And each one of these different foundations are provide different challenges and repairs and techniques that are needed. Now, within those foundations, it's actually, there's a lot of regional differences. For instance, in the Worcester area, we're going to have a lot of what we call triple decker. So, three-family homes that are on stone foundations. And those are built very different than a farmhouse that was built in Peabody, Massachusetts. In Quincy, they're using a lot of large granite blocks because of the Quincy quarries and stone foundations. And in some areas that are maybe in a water table, like along the Sudbury River or the Assabet River, you're going to see, or even the Charles River, you're going to see a lot of stone foundations that might just be crawl space only. Some might have bricks, some might have stones all the way up. So even though it's a stone foundation, even these have regional differences as well. With concrete foundations, even though concrete's a very well-known and understood man-made product, the reality is that there's a lot of differences even regionally here as well. We have a major issue going on in Northeast Connecticut and in Western Massachusetts in the Worcester area with some chemical structures of the concrete, which we've talked about in other podcasts, causing crumbling foundations. We have foundations that are, depending on the years that they were built, so if they were built concrete in the 1940s versus 2010, the strength differences are very different. The construction techniques, the codes that they were built to were very different. So being from this area is actually a huge advantage, and being in business for over 30 years is a huge advantage for us because we're not a customer coming or a company coming in from abroad or managed from a different area. We know these houses, we know these regions, we know these different types of foundations, and every little pocket of construction is a little bit different. Sometimes we even know the builders and the builders' tendencies if it's a newer construction and some of the things that just happen with those types of homes. So really it's understanding about, what the local market is, what the local houses are like, and all of the weather and geographic differences around here. So whether you're from southern New Hampshire in the Manchester area, in Rhode Island, in Warwick, Hartford, Connecticut, or Worcester, Massachusetts, or Boston, all these houses, while they're similar, they all present different challenges. And so it's important for us to know, one, where you're from, because it kind of sets the table for the things that we typically see from the area, and two, how we're going to be able to best help you.